Hello and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Brian Ramsey, and I'm the owner of Wildcat Soaps and Candles. And today we're going to actually begin making some soap. However, to begin with, we're going to have to take some custom molds I've built and line them with parchment paper. Now, there's silicone molds out there that you can buy. This is a wooden mold that I use with paper. I built this myself, so in order for me to have silicone, I'd have to pour all that silicone mold myself, so I figured I would just use paper to line it. Paper's inexpensive, it really is. It's not that bad. I get mine at Sam's Club, and I use this parchment paper, and it's fairly leak-proof when you actually get it done. All right, so let's go ahead and begin. So this is my mold that I'm going to line, and I know the size of this mold. However, you really don't need to have many measurements for anything you're doing with this paper, because as you do this process, you're going to see that you can basically do any size that you want. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this mold on its side. All right, so I'm laying it on the side so that I can actually see where I'm going to measure on the inside of this, because like you see here, I want this parchment paper to be on the inside of this wood, okay? So I'm going to pull this paper out, and at the very end here, you're probably going to come up about 3 or 4 inches. And you're just going to make a really nice crease. And you'll see why we're doing this in just a moment, okay? Now the next thing I do is I line up this wooden mold, and I want this crease to line up just directly inside of this corner. And then I'm going to hold it, and I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to cut it again with a little bit left over so that you can fold it in. All right? Now we're going to fold this. Now let's line this up again. And it's easy for me to just hold this and try to crease it like this. And again, if you've got a little bit extra paper on this side than this side, don't worry about it. That's okay. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put this inside to make sure that it fits pretty well. Okay? Now you'll see that actually my paper is a little too far because it actually bunches up. So if you need to, just bring this in a little bit more and do a new fold. It doesn't hurt anything. All right, perfect. Now, the next step is I'm gonna make the first fold that goes on this side of the mold. So you're gonna fold this about 75 or 80% of the way. So about right there. And you're gonna fold it all the way across. You're gonna have really nice straight folds. Okay, now I'm going to flip this up. I'm going to put this in that corner and tuck it in that corner really well. And then I'm going to push into the corner this other side. So this far side is the crease, and I'm going to push in this other side and make sure it's nice and snug there. And then I take just a pair of scissors. Don't do it too hard because it'll slice it. And I want to just make a small crease down this side where that paper is going to be. So let's take it out. And this is that far corner, and this is the near corner. And you can see where I made a crease there. So we're going to fold this over to that crease. And we're going to make a nice fold. Okay? Now we're going to just double check to make sure it's going to sit in there. So you're going to actually just put this in and push this down and just make sure that the corners look nice and tight. And you can see how tight my corners are. Don't get too much of OCD on this, because if it's a little loose, that's okay. Now, here comes the more difficult part. So we're going to take this out, and we have to build the corners so it doesn't leak. And so when you get done, this is going to be all one piece with no holes, so it's going to be leak-proof. So the first thing you're going to see is these are the 2 creases we made. I'm going to put my finger here, and this is the first crease we made, and I want this crease to line up with this crease. So we're going to come in and we're going to open it up, and we're going to fold it just like that. So those creases line up. Now what I do, which you don't have to, is I'll push this in a little bit more so that this paper underneath also lines up. But again, you don't have to. Now you'll see that this is over a little bit. Not a big deal. I just fold it over. Now, let's do this side, the same thing. We're going to take this crease, and we're going to meet this other crease. We're going to fold this over. So now we did the right side. Now we're going to turn it around and we're going to do it again. We're going to take this crease and we're going to meet this crease. Let's fold that out of the way a little bit. We're going to do this one again. This crease to that crease. We're going to fold this over a little bit more. Okay, so this was the left side, so we're going to turn it back around. So now is the important part of getting it in the mold. So what I do is I'll hold this together, and I'll hold this together, and I'll kind of just stretch it a little bit, and I'll just stick it inside the mold. Now, if it comes apart, don't worry. We're going to work on it a little bit at a time. So as soon as you start fitting this in, you're going to notice it's just going to fall right in place, and it's going to fit on all 4 sides. You see that? It's very tight in there. So now, I'm going to cut this corner. I'm going to cut this corner, and you're only cutting down to the actual corner of the mold. And then I'm going to fold this over. And I'm going to put a thumbtack here. I'm going to turn it around. And again, you're only cutting right to that mold because you don't want the soap to spill out. Fold it over and put a thumbtack. Okay? So now we're going to do the sides. The first thing is you want to make sure you put your fingers in here to make sure it's nice and tight so you don't pull it too much. We're going to put a thumbtack here and a thumbtack here. Let's turn it around. Do the same thing. Now the next step you really don't have to do, but I do. I just like to trim some of this extra off on the sides. And there you go. You have a lined mold. Now the neat thing about this is if you don't have molds, get you an Amazon box. Find a decent little size of an Amazon box or some extra box you have. Using the same method, you could do any single type of mold or box you want. In fact, when I started, I didn't have these molds. I had boxes, and I collected boxes, and I started using different sizes. So thank you for joining us today. Check out our website at www.wildcatsoaps.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and get signed up for our newsletter. We're going to be releasing new product very soon. Thank you very much, and we hope to see you soon.